Hello everyone on Facebook. I'm Sarah Mayberry, medical producer here at Local 4, and I'm joined today by Chief Sean Larkins, Superintendent of EMS.
Good morning.
Good morning. So today we're going to learn hands-only CPR.
That is correct.
And this is life-saving skill anyone can learn and everyone should know.
That is correct.
All right, so Chief, walk me through. How do we do this?
Okay, so one of the first things that everyone should know is if someone has inadequate breathing, or what they call agonal respirations, looks like they're gasping for air, that's not adequate. So the person is not getting the oxygen that their body needs and that their brain needs to survive.
So that's like the goldfish, like out of water kind of breathing.
Correct,
okay. Correct.
So that's one of the things that you need to look for. And basically, if they don't have if they have no signs of life, you want to start CPR immediately. You don't want to wait.
Okay.
So one of the first things that everyone should do is they should call 911.
So we do that first.
We do that first. And you want to make sure that help is on the way. Because the last thing you want is to continue to do CPR and there's no help coming, right? So help is on the way and we're going to start CPR. So the way it used to be, it was kind of a long process. You had to look, listen, and feel for breathing. You had to check for a pulse. Then you had to open their mouth, and then you had to actually put your lips on their lips. And then you had to find the proper hand placement. All that's gone away.
Now, I actually went through that training because I was a lifeguard in my youth. So I remember, I mean, it was complicated.
It was very complicated.
It's not that way anymore. I mean, anyone really can learn this without special training.
That is correct. That is correct. It takes about 90 seconds to learn, and you can save a life.
All right, show us how to do it.
Okay. So one of the first things you want to do is after you've called 911, you want to get next to your patient. And you call 911, and if there's someone around, you want to ask for an AED. Okay. So,
and we actually have one here at Channel 4. This is our AED. I just pulled it off the wall,
okay, yep,
so we can show everyone.
This is a real AED. So they're very simple. They're fully automatic. You just want to have someone open it up for you, put the pads on the chest, push the button, and the AED will talk you through what to do for the patient.
But while someone is fetching this, we're starting CPR, right?
Correct.
All right.
So everyone's heard about the staying alive, that you can actually perform hands-only CPR to the tune of staying alive, and it gives you the proper tempo that you need to ensure adequate blood flow.
Okay. All right, so how do we put our hands?
So you put your hands, you can put one hand on top of the other hand like this, lock your fingers, and what you want to do is put your hands in the center of the chest, okay? And then you want to compress. And I'm not going to sing Staying Alive for you, but... So
everyone sing along in your own cubicle, wherever you are, sing along.
Okay, and we're going to make sure our elbows are locked, and we want to lean forward a little bit, and we want to compress, and we'll just do it together. I'll just count out.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So as we're doing this, we're going to do this for about 2 minutes, okay? Hopefully someone's getting the AED ready, and as soon as the AED is ready, we're going to place the AED on, push analyze, and it'll be hands off the chest, and we'll wait for the AED to perform whatever it's going to perform. Either it's going to shock the person if they have a shockable rhythm, or it's going to give a no shock advice, and we're going to continue CPR.
All right, but if we don't have an AED, let's say we're at home, you just keep doing this until some help arrives,
Keep
correct?
performing CPR until help arrives, or until you're just getting too tired to continue. So that's why it's so important. We'll just stop for a moment. Okay. That's why it's so important for more people to learn, because obviously there's usually more people there with you, and you can all share. So after every 2 minutes, we should switch. We should let someone else. It's easy to get winded, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's like, if you're doing it correctly, it should be tiring, right?
Yes. Yes. It will be tiring, but it shouldn't be overwhelming. Okay.
So, and you really do have to push hard. I mean, we're just doing this on mannequins, but I think if you're doing it for real, you have to push harder than you think and faster than you think. Would you say that? Harder
than you think, faster than you think, but not as fast as some people may think.
Okay.
So over 100, between 100 and 120 times a minute. So staying alive actually helps with that.
Just keep that tune in your head while you're doing it. Ooh, ooh.
Right, keep that tune in your head. So a lot of people are concerned about some things, such as, what if I break ribs? So unfortunately, sometimes that does happen. But a broken rib can be repaired, but a heart that hasn't had any blood flow for over 6 minutes, can't be repaired.
Because really the decision you're making is, do I let someone die or do I risk breaking a rib?
Correct.
I mean, that's really as flat out as it is.
Correct.
Why is it so important for you to start CPR before help arrives? I think people think, oh, I'm going to call 911, they'll be here quick. Why can't we wait?
Well, if you've ever tried to hold your breath for any length of time, you realize that you can't. So imagine if someone is there not breathing at all, and what that's going to do to the brain. Mm-hmm. So the sooner that we can initiate CPR, that's going to increase survivability. Mm-hmm. So after 5 minutes, you're looking at brain death. Mm-hmm. So the sooner we can do it, and also the sooner we can get an AED to the patient's side, it's going to make a huge difference in surviving the sudden cardiac arrest.
The stats for survival for sudden cardiac arrest outside of a hospital, just 10%.
Yes.
Survival with no brain abnormality, no brain lasting consequences, just 8%. So, but CPR is what changes that, right?
That is correct. That is the game changer, and as soon as we can get on the chest, the better, and the better it's going to be for the patient. One of the most frustrating things as a pre-hospital care provider is when you get to someone's house or their place of work and no one's doing CPR. Yeah. It's what we call in the field they're giving the patient the stare of life. So everybody's just staring at the patient. They're hoping that they breathe, right? But you actually have to get involved, and just hands-only CPR is going to help tremendously.
I know some people are afraid that they're going to do it wrong, or they're going to be sued if someone doesn't make it. Address that issue.
Well, we do have Good Samaritan laws, so as long as you're making a good faith effort, you're covered. And it's as far as doing it wrong, there's really nothing to mess up. So center of the chest, push hard, push fast, and just wait until help arrives. There's nothing to screw up. Yeah. It's easy.
And odds are, I mean, the odds are good that it could be someone we love that we're doing this on. I mean, 4 out of 5 of these happen at home. So
that is correct.
Good chance that it's a loved one that we might be called on to do this.
That is correct. So when you call 911, one of the things that happens is the 911 operator in Detroit, they're going to ask you, where are you calling from? Mm-hmm. Okay, everyone thinks I'm on a cell phone, they're going to be able to pick it up. It doesn't quite work that way. So where are you calling from? Is there anyone there with you? Is there an AED nearby? They're going to ask you these questions, but they're also going to give you instructions on how to perform hands-only CPR. So it's important to stay on the phone with the 911 operator until help arrives.
You can get these dummies if you want to practice, but you can also get a pillow at home and down on the floor and just try to get your arm position right. We have a link on clickondetroit.com all the time where you can watch videos from the American Heart Association on how to perform hands-only CPR. The reason that we were spurred to do this is we have a wonderful story that aired last night at 11 about someone who was willing to get involved and ended up saving a life. So I want to roll that story so everyone who might have missed it can see why it is so worth learning how to do this and doing it if you ever are called upon to do it.
Okay, awesome.
Right up the middle! Touchdown, Michigan! It was supposed to be a day of football and fun. Notre Dame fan Keith Trost and daughter Mary Kate were at the Big House to watch the Irish take on the Wolverines. Forcier throws, caught! Touchdown! A last-second touchdown gave Michigan the win, but the real drama was yet to come. Keith's wife picked them up, and as they sat in the post-game traffic, Keith's heart just stopped.
Between there and Eisenhower on Industrial, I suffered cardiac arrest. My wife's immediate thought was, let me get him to the hospital. My daughter called 911. They said, don't do that, pull over and get him out of the car.
The odds of surviving cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are just about 10%. But Keith was about to hit the Good Samaritan lottery.
The person in the car behind us saw that them struggling to pull me, my lifeless body out of the car. She was medical trained. She got out of her car and proceeded to give me CPR.
The stranger was a woman. Her mother was with her, and she continued to do CPR until rescuers arrived.
The fire truck from the fire station by Briarwood Mall came over, got there, zapped me with the defibrillator, and were able to get my heart beating again. I kind of joke at how much fun the people in the emergency room had cutting my Notre Dame gear off of me that day.
That may be true, but Keith is forever grateful to the Maize and Blue. Doctors at U of M used a high-tech hypothermia treatment to cool Keith's body and bypass surgery to replace his damaged arteries. As he slowly recovered, Keith wondered about the woman who saved his life.
I would love to be able to thank the woman that was in that car behind us. We checked the police records, we checked the EMT records. Nobody got her name.
7 years have passed. Keith has welcomed 2 new granddaughters. A 5th is on the way in May. He walked his daughter down the aisle, and he's become a runner.
I've run 4 half marathons and a 10-mile run since then.
He's also decided to come out of retirement, starting a new career with Goodwill. It's a wonderful life he came as close as humanly possible to losing. He wants the woman who saved it to know she made a difference.
I hope she sees this. There's an angel of mercy out there that may or may not know that what she did was very worthwhile, and I really thank her for it.
And that is Keith's story, and Keith is alive and well and so grateful to his guardian angel out there. I really want to ask you, if you can, to go and share this story on your Facebook page, email it to your family and friends, especially if you have any Ann Arbor connections. We would really love to find Keith's guardian angel. She may not have any idea if he survived or not. I'm sure she would love to see what his life has been like since, and we really want to find her, but we need your help. This story aired last night at 11. We still don't have her, so we need your help in social media to get out there and help make sure this story reaches her. I'm joined by Chief Sean Larkins, Superintendent of Detroit EMS.
Correct.
That is just a shining example of why someone needs to act fast. And you, obviously EMS gets there fast, but not fast enough sometimes.
That is true, very true. Everyone wonders, you know, especially with me sitting here, how long would it take for a trained responder to respond if the chief of EMS all of a sudden had a sudden cardiac arrest at Channel 4. So you think 8 minutes, 6 minutes, you know, 3 minutes, how long would it take?
Yeah.
So if you were to touch me, how long did that take?
Half a second?
Half a second. And you've been trained already in hands-only CPR.
Yeah.
So in half a second, you can have someone at your side who is trained to save your life. So that's why hands-only CPR is so important for everyone to learn. And it's so easy to learn.
And it literally is, you know, the people who are with you when you go down that
Yes.
are often the difference in whether you live or die.
That is correct.
The decisions they make and whether they get involved or don't get involved and how well they do. I mean, that's what determines it a lot of times.
That is true.
So I think the question a lot of people have is, okay, how do I know when I need to do CPR? Like I see someone laying there, how do I know if they need CPR? You know, I'm not a doctor.
Right, so they're not responsive, agonal breathing, or they have just no signs of life, and you can start CPR.
So no pulse as far as you can tell, they're not breathing, they're not
Correct.
conscious, so we're looking for if they're conscious or not.
Correct.
And if they're breathing effectively, normally.
Right.
And if not, start CPR.
Correct.
Call 911, start CPR.
Correct. And snoring respirations, I mean, if they're snoring, usually with a family member, you can tell if they're snoring. You wake them up, hey,
Yeah.
roll over, you're snoring, right? But if they're snoring and they're not responsive, it's what they call that agonal breathing, and that's not effective breathing, and they're probably in cardiac arrest.
We did a story earlier this year looking at agonal breathing, or what some people call the last gasps. And in some places, they've actually changed the questions that 911 operators will ask when you call to kind of get at that question faster. I want to play you that story so you can take a look at what a difference it can make in terms of survival.
Okay.
911, where's your emergency?
Our dispatcher, once they ascertain that there's a medical emergency, the first question they'll ask is whether or not the victim is responsive. If it's reported to them that the victim's unresponsive, the next question they ask is whether or not the victim is breathing.
Jim Etzen is the EMS coordinator for the Farmington Hills Fire Department. He says that second question, are they breathing, can cause confusion. The problem is something called agonal breathing.
Agonal breathing is ineffective breathing, and for lack of a better description, it's when someone is taking their last gasps.
It can sound like a fish out of water. Someone taking those last gasps does need CPR. To clear up the confusion, Farmington Hills dispatchers ask a different question.
Our dispatcher will ask the caller whether or not the victim is breathing effectively.
It's a small change that can make a big difference. In places where the initial questions from 911 have been updated and streamlined, more people survive sudden cardiac arrest.
Those 2 or 3 minutes are critical as it relates to the overall survivability of that victim. So if a bystander can recognize that someone's in cardiac arrest and start CPR right away, that can make the difference between life and death.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We do want to answer some questions if you have them. So if you have a question, submit it in the comments on this Facebook Live. One question we heard is, why don't we have to do the breaths anymore?
Okay, so science and studies have shown that after a person stops breathing, they go into cardiac arrest, there's enough residual oxygen in the cells that you don't have to provide the rescue breathing. So as long as you're performing CPR at the adequate rate and depth and you're in the center of the chest, you're going to still perfuse the essential organs, brain, heart, lungs, and kidneys that will help with the patient's outcome and survival.
And now I know for small children or for infants, we do still want to do the breathing. So that's why we recommend that parents, grandparents, caregivers get a little extra training when that baby's born to make sure you know how to do it, because they don't have quite as much residual oxygen in their blood, correct?
Correct, that is true.
But chest compressions for even older children, perfectly adequate or better than nothing.
Yes.
Okay. If you have questions, please submit them. Want to talk a little bit about some legislation that passed that's going to require all students in Michigan to have some hands-only CPR training before they graduate. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I had a small part to play in that with Senator Shoemaker, who was one of the sponsors of the bill. And so it's great. I mean, I think that, personally, I think if to renew your driver's license, you should know at least hands-only CPR. I think that the more people we have, the better.
That would give us something to do while we're waiting in the Secretary of State's office. A little training there.
Right. Hopefully it doesn't happen in the Secretary of State's office, but hey, if someone's trained, then they can respond. But I think that's a great first step, because kids are often your biggest advocates, and they have all that youthful energy, and they're going to spread it, and they're going to teach it to their family members at home. And the more people that know hands-only CPR are, the better. So I think it's wonderful that we're doing that finally in Michigan.
We were actually in a high school that has already started this. They didn't wait, and actually it was a middle school. I take it back. And we went through a class with them, and any fear that anyone has that middle schoolers wouldn't be able to do this, forget about it. They were so on top of it. They knew everything to do. They knew exactly how to do it. If anyone collapses in that school, the biggest problem is going to be everyone's going to be running each other over trying to be the one that does CPR. But I think that it's just going to create so many new rescuers for our state.
That is true. And there's a cute YouTube video of it looks like a toddler. And I guess the toddler's mom is a CPR instructor. You can actually see the toddler talking to the mannequin and performing CPR. It's great. It's so cute. But kids are great imitators, and they have the ability to get the psychomotor part down without any issues. So it's great. I would say train your child as young as they can tolerate it, and how to do hands-only CPR, because it will make a difference.
Well, and even if they're not strong enough, if they learn the skills, they will remember that as they get older and stronger. Correct. And kids don't have the same hang-ups that adults do. They aren't worried about lawsuits. They're not worried about doing it wrong. They're convinced that they know how to do it.
Exactly.
In fact, when we were talking to the students at the middle school, their only fear was that if something happened, the adults around wouldn't let them perform CPR because they wouldn't think that they knew how to do it. That was their only concern, is that something happens and that they're not going to be allowed to use their skills.
Right.
But I think as more and more people get trained, that's just going to go away.
Right. And in most emergencies, at least all the ones that I've been on, someone just wants someone to take over and take control of the situation. And I'll just encourage everyone to not use that as an excuse and not be afraid of that, that people want you to help and want someone to get involved. And I think it's just awesome, and the more people we can train, the healthier the community is going to be. So,
because this is survivable in some cases. I mean,
it
is. If you get prompt CPR, if you get an AED there, if you get EMS there quickly, there are people who survive this and are perfectly fine and live healthy lives.
That is true. We just had a ceremony yesterday where we acknowledged our dispatchers, firefighters, EMTs who did exactly that. They saved a life. The gentleman whose life was saved and his wife, who was given the CPR instructions over the phone, were present. Yeah. So it was great to be able to celebrate things like that, and those are the kind of positive stories we need to get out. Yeah. And that will encourage more people to learn hands-only CPR.
Well, there is a new effort. One of the ways that they're trying to reach people to teach hands-only CPR is through some of these YouTube videos, some of the videos that they hope will go viral. We have a look at some of those and kind of the innovative ways that they're trying to teach CPR. So why don't we take a look at that?
But receiving immediate CPR can double or even triple your odds of surviving. Performing CPR, well, it's now easier than ever before, and the efforts to teach it are no longer confined to a classroom. This was the old CPR, which required giving mouth to mouth. This is the new. EMC Dr. Brian O'Neill says it's about reaching a new audience.
We realize it's the younger people who are going to be doing CPR on their parents or the elderly. So that's the group we need to reach.
That means a new emphasis on viral videos and social media.
So if we're going to reach that group, we have to get on their level and find out what they look at for their news and how they get their information.
O'Neill's favorite video is from the British Heart Association.
My name is Vinnie Jones, and I'm going to teach you a lesson you'll never forget. Lock your fingers together, knuckles up, then push down, right on the sovereign.
Some hospitals have made their own. Most feature the song Stayin' Alive, but U of M chose a different tune for its version.
Anyone can do hands-only CPR, even these guys.
Actually, I don't think that's...
First, call 911. Then, push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of Let's Go Blue. That's it. No special training, no mouth-to-mouth required. You're welcome. Just keep on pushing till help arrives.
Can it make a difference?
We know that at least 250,000 people have seen that video. Even if just 1 in 1,000 of those people end up doing CPR on someone, that's 250 people's lives that could be saved. We are trying to be as creative as we can to get the message across that anybody in Michigan, anybody in the country can potentially save a life by performing bystander CPR.
And they'll share that message any way they can.
Dance party!
Now, we've put all those videos and some serious instructional ones too on the health page at clickondetroit.com. Now, hands-only CPR really is that easy. You have someone call 911 and then you push hard and fast in the center of the chest. If you do the compressions to the beat of Stayin' Alive, that's about the right speed. And don't stop until help arrives. Back to you.
All right. Well, with 2 U of M grads here, I think we can support that U of M video. And Let's Go Blue is a perfectly good alternative for while doing CPR.
Exactly.
Although the British video was pretty funny too, I have to admit. If you're joining us late, we do want to walk you through the steps again. We've got Chief Sean Larkins here, Superintendent of Detroit EMS.
Yes.
Chief, step by step, walk us through again. How do we do hands-only CPR?
Okay. Step by step. First thing you want to do, of course, is call 911.
Yep.
And
got the phone, call 911, get help on the way.
Get help on the way. And you're going to find the center of the chest. Okay. And you're going to perform your compressions. And they've mentioned staying alive, so that'll be something good to keep up the correct tempo in your head.
All right.
But we're just going to push hard and fast, center of the chest. Ready, and go.
Staying alive. staying alive. Oh,
staying alive, staying alive. So hopefully if you have an AED, you've also sent someone to grab the AED. If you're in the office building, church, wherever you may be, it's important to have that AED present. The sooner we can get the AED on the patient, it's going to increase the survivability of the patient.
Because CPR is moving blood to their brain and organs, but it's the AED that's actually going to restart their heart.
That is correct. A lot of people think with an AED that it actually restarts the heart. Actually, what the AED does is it stops the heart so that hopefully the normal electrical conduction pathways will start working properly. And you have that person that's really excited about something. Oh my God, and you shake them and you say, hey, get a hold of yourself. What's the first thing that happens?
Slap.
Smack in the face. It kind of stuns them for a minute and then they're okay. Same thing with the AED.
So that's what we're shocking the heart to.
Yeah, you stop this chaotic activity of the heart, and it stops it, and you hope that the electrical conduction system will kick in and function normally.
But again, if I have no AED,
I
just keep pushing hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives.
Until help arrives. And when you call 911, they're going to walk you through the process, how to perform CPR, and they'll actually give you a tempo too. They'll count over the phone, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Make sure that you perform the compressions at the correct rate.
Right. But hard, fast, center of the chest, it really is as simple as that.
That is correct.
Chief, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anyone out there, if you are ever in the situation where someone needs CPR, we really hope that you will jump in and do it. It really is a life-saving skill.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Thank
you, Chief.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.